The real shock in Washington is not the headline the Washington draw dropped on Saturday night. Within an hour, every tennis account online was repeating the same sentence. Alex Eala could face the defending champion. That sentence is true. It is also the second most interesting fact on her side of the bracket. The first is this. Before Alex Eala gets anywhere near Leylah Fernandez, she has to walk past an Olympic gold medalist. Round 1. Not the quarterfinals. Not some hypothetical later date.
Monday. And almost nobody is talking about that.
So, let me tell you what I think is actually happening in Washington this week. I want to be honest with you from the start. Some of it makes me nervous. Claim number 1. The match everyone is writing about, Eala against Fernandez, has a very real chance of never happening. Not because Eala is not good enough, but because of the name placed directly opposite hers, and because of a decision this tournament made weeks ago that almost no one noticed. Claim number 2, and this is the one I keep returning to, if that match does happen, it is not the story American media is selling right now. It is not the underdog from the Philippines against the champion from Canada. That framing is incomplete in a way that completely changes what the match means. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I will show you exactly what I mean, but not yet. 3 things unlock in the next stretch of this analysis. The trap sitting in round 1, and why a wild card can be more dangerous than a seed. A result from earlier this year that these 2 women already share, which I have not seen a single preview mention. And one number, 70. That explains why this specific week matters more to the career of Alex Eala than anything she has played since Wimbledon. 21 years old. World number 28, a career high. First time ever playing this tournament. And the hardest opening assignment of anyone in the entire field. We're going to open this draw properly, line by line, because once you see how her week is built, you will understand why this is not a standard preview. It is a stress test. Before we open the draw, hold one number in your head. It is not a ranking. It is 70. 70 points. That is everything Alex Eala has to defend across the entire North American swing, Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, the US Open, all of it. 70. To understand why that number matters, you need to understand how tennis rankings actually work. They are stranger than most people realize. Think of it like this. Every player who walks into a tournament is carrying a backpack. Inside that backpack is whatever they earned at this same event 1 year ago. The cruel part is that they have to earn all of it again just to stay exactly where they are.
Not to climb.
To stand still. Leylah Fernandez walks into Washington this week with 500 points in her backpack because she won this title last year. Every round she loses, points fall out, and they do not come back. Alex Eala walks in with a backpack that is basically empty.
Why?
Because last summer went badly. She lost her opening match in Toronto. Then a left shoulder injury took her off the tour. She played only 2 tour-level events across the whole swing. She reached the second round of the US Open, 70 points total. Then she disappeared. So the version of Alex Eala arriving in Washington in 2026 is a player who cannot really fall. There is no floor beneath her to break through. Every single match she wins from Monday onward is pure addition. Now the tournament itself. The Mubadala City DC Open, a WTA 500, played at the William H. G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center from July 27th through August 2nd. The champion takes home $252,000. But the money is not why the top players show up. This is the gateway event. Washington feeds into Toronto. Toronto feeds into Cincinnati. Cincinnati feeds into Flushing Meadows. Whatever version of yourself you find in DC tends to be the version you carry into the final slam of the year. The field is loaded. Jessica Pegula is the top seed. Alina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, and Diana Schneider sit behind her, and all 4 of them received byes into the second round. Anna Kalinskaya, Madison Keys, Fernandez, and Emma Navarro round out the 8 seeds. Read that list again, and notice what is missing. Alex Eala is ranked 28th in the world, a career high. She just made history at Wimbledon, and she is not seeded here. Not because she played badly, but because this tournament only seeds 8 players, and 8 is a very small number when Pegula, Osaka, and Keys all decide to show up in the same week. Being unseeded is not a small technicality. A seed is protection. A seed means the draw physically cannot play certain opponents in front of you early. Leylah has none of that. She is floating loose in a field full of Grand Slam champions, and the computer can put anybody in front of her. Which it did. One more date, and I want you to actually note this one. August 24th. That is the seeding cutoff for the US Open. Leylah currently sits at number 29 on the entry list. If she is inside the top 32 on that date, she becomes the first Filipina in history to be seeded at the US Open. She has 3 tournaments and roughly 4 places of cushion. That is the real scoreboard this month. Not trophies, not headlines. A cutoff date and 4 spots. Leylah arrives with almost nothing to lose, a career-high ranking, and a deadline she can hit. That sounds like the perfect setup, right up until you look at the name printed directly opposite hers. Round 1. Alex Eala versus Zheng Qinwen. Let me say that again, because I do not think it has fully landed. The Olympic gold medalist is in this draw. She is in it as a wild card, and she landed on Alex Eala in the very first round. That is not bad luck. That is arithmetic. That is what happens when you are ranked 28 in the world and the tournament only protects 8 players. Here is why a wild card is so much more dangerous than people assume. A wild card is a free pass into the main draw handed out by the tournament. It carries no seeding, no protection, no fixed position, which means a wild card is a loose object rolling around inside the bracket. It can land anywhere. Usually that object is a promising teenager or a local favorite. Sometimes it is a former world number 5 with a gold medal from Paris. Zheng Qinwen has been rebuilding. Injuries pulled her ranking down, and she has spent this season clawing back. Think about what that does to a player. No points to defend, no seed to protect, no heavy expectation weighing on her shoulders. In other words, she is arriving in Washington in almost exactly the same emotional state as Alex Eala, hungry, unranked in the seeding sense, and completely free. 2 players with nothing to lose on court 1 on day 1. That is not a first round. That is a collision. And now I have to tell you about Hangzhou. September 28th, 2023. Asian Games semifinal. Leylah was 18 years old and ranked 190 in the world. Zheng was inside the top 25 and the overwhelming favorite. The first set took almost no time at all. 6-1 Zheng. It was not competitive. It was a demonstration. Second set, Leylah goes down 2-5. She is 1 game from losing a semi-final against a player 167 ranking spots above her, with the entire Philippines watching at 4 in the morning. And then something happened that almost nobody in that stadium expected. She saved a match point, then another, game after game after game, refusing to let the match end. She dragged it back to 5-all, then to 6-all.
Tiebreak.
She won it 7-5. Set 3. Leylah breaks. She leads 3-1. For about 20 minutes, the Philippines is genuinely close to its first Asian Games gold medal in tennis since 1962, 61 years. Then the body gave out. Everything she had spent surviving the second set came due. Zheng closed it out 6-3 and went on to the gold medal match. Leylah took bronze. She walked off that court having lost. She also walked off that court as somebody completely different from the person who walked on. So, here is the question I want you sitting with. That was Leylah at 18, ranked 190, playing with house money. This is Leylah at 21, ranked 28, who 3 weeks ago beat the defending Wimbledon champion on center court. How much of that old match still applies? Because I can argue it both ways, and that is what makes Monday so uncomfortable. Argument 1. Leylah is a fundamentally better player now. Bigger serve, better first strike tennis, and crucially, she has learned how to close. 2 years ago, she ran out of gas. This year, she has won matches from a set down and survived tiebreaks that used to swallow her. Argument 2, and this is the one that worries me. Zheng Qinwen has never lost to Alex Eala, not once. And there is a version of this where the underdog dynamic has completely flipped. In Hangzhou, Leylah had nothing to lose. On Monday, Leylah is the higher-ranked player, coming off the biggest month of her career, expected to win by an entire nation. Pressure does not disappear when you get better. It relocates. And here is the detail that makes all of this genuinely unpredictable. Hangzhou was the Asian Games. Before that, they were juniors. This Monday will be the first time Alex Eala and Zheng Qinwen have ever played each other on the WTA Tour. No tour-level head-to-head. No pattern. No book on each other at this level. Two players who have both changed enormously since the last time they shared a court, meeting on a surface neither has played competitively in months. Nobody knows what this looks like, not the odds makers, not the commentators, not the players. And remember, this is round one. This is the warm-up. This is the match that is supposed to be manageable. But even if Eala walks through all of that, the woman waiting on the other side is not a stranger to her. They have already played this year. And Filipino fans do not remember how it ended. Here is the part almost nobody in American media has framed correctly. Once I say it out loud, you're going to wonder why it took this long for someone to say it. Leylah Fernandez is Canadian. She plays for Canada. She made a U.S. Open final for Canada in 2021 at 18 years old in front of a New York crowd that fell completely in love with her. Last year, she became the first Canadian in history to win this Washington title. Her mother is Filipino-Canadian.
Sit with that for a second.
If Fernandez gets past Magda Linette in her opener, and if Eala survives Zheng, then the match everyone has been posting about since Saturday night is not the Philippines against Canada. It is two Filipina daughters standing on opposite ends of a court on American soil. And only one of them gets to keep going. You clicked thinking it was the plucky girl from Manila taking a swing at the reigning champion. That is the story that got sold, and it is not the full story because Leylah Fernandez is not the villain here. She is the mirror. She is the version of this that already happened. A young woman with Filipino blood who made a Grand Slam final before she could legally drink in her own country, who has been carrying a flag that only tells half of who she is for her entire career. And now here comes another young woman with Filipino blood, 5 years behind her, carrying the flag that Fernandez does not get to carry. Which raises a question I do not think has a clean answer. What does it actually mean to represent a people when your passport says one thing and your blood says another? Fernandez has never hidden it. She talks about her mother. She talks about the food, the family, the Filipino fans who show up for her at tournaments in North America. But she competes under a maple leaf, and Alex Eala competes under 3 stars and a sun. When they stand across a net from each other, a whole community has to decide something in real time. I genuinely want to know what you think about that because I do not think there is a right answer, and I am not going to pretend I have one. If Filipino fans fill that stadium in Washington and these two walk out, who do they cheer for? Now let me give you the detail that made me sit up when I checked it because I have not seen one preview mention it. They already played this year. Stuttgart, April, Clay. Alex Eala went out in the round of 32, and the player who put her out was Leylah Fernandez. So the phrase collision course, the one in every headline, is doing something sneaky. It is selling you a first meeting, a fresh matchup, 2 players finally crossing paths. It is not that at all. It is a rematch. And Eala is the one carrying the debt. Stack the whole thing up and look at what this draw is actually asking her to do. To reach the quarterfinals in Washington, Alex Eala has to beat an Olympic gold medalist and then most likely beat the defending champion of the tournament, back-to-back, in consecutive rounds, on a hard court she has not competed on since March. It is like walking into an exam where somebody took the 2 hardest questions on the paper and moved them to number 1 and number 2. There is no warm-up section. There is no soft opener to find your timing, feel the ball, remember what the surface does to your slice. It is maximum difficulty from the first point of the week. But do not mistake this for Eala versus 2 monsters, because Fernandez is not comfortable either. Not remotely. She is the one wearing the 500-point backpack. And we already got a preview of what happens when it comes off. Earlier this month, when the live rankings temporarily stripped out her Washington points from last year, Fernandez dropped from 25 all the way to 34, 9 places gone in a single line of a spreadsheet. That is her reality this week. She is not defending a title for the joy of it. She is defending it to stop the bleeding. She said it herself in her media day on Saturday. She said she thinks back on those memories, that fight, the energy the crowd gave her, and tries to put herself back in that state. But she also said something more revealing. She said 1 year is a long time, and a lot can change. That is a champion telling you out loud that she knows. The ground has moved under her. So, this is not a giant against a challenger. This is a rising player with nothing to lose against a champion with everything to lose. And between them sits an Olympic gold medalist who is not supposed to be in this part of the draw at all. Which brings us to the only question that actually matters this week. Is Alex Eala good enough on a hard court to make any of this happen? Let us look at the receipts. 3 weeks in June. Berlin, Round 1. Donna Vekic, the Queen's Club champion, 3 days removed from lifting a trophy. Eala beat her 7-5, 6-4. Round 2. Elena Rybakina, world number 2. Eala beat her 7-5, 6-4. Then Alina Svitolina 6-3, 6-4 to reach the semifinals.
Gone.
Then Wimbledon. Eala walked in as the 29th seed, which by itself was history because no player from the Philippines had ever been seeded at a Grand Slam. First round, Renata Zarazua. Second round, Maya Joint. Third round, Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, on the biggest stage in the sport. 7-5 in a first-set tiebreak that went to 9 points, then 6-2. Straight sets. Defending champion dethroned. First Filipino singles player to reach the 4th round of a Grand Slam. That is not a hot streak. A hot streak is 1 good week. This is a player who has figured out how to beat elite opponents in consecutive rounds, which is the exact skill this Washington draw is about to demand from her. That is evidence number 1. Evidence number 2. And it is the one nobody talks about because it lives in a spreadsheet instead of a highlight reel. Alex Eala has 1,666 ranking points. Leylah Fernandez has 1,344. Read that again. The player being called the underdog in this matchup is ranked higher than the defending champion. Eala is defending 70 points across the entire summer. Fernandez is defending 500 in this single week. Structurally, they are moving in opposite directions. One is climbing with an empty backpack. One is trying to stop a slide with a full one. And here is the subtle part that makes this week so specific. This might be the last time for a long while that Alex Eala enters a tournament genuinely free, because every point she earns from Monday onward becomes a point she has to defend 12 months from now. Success creates its own weight. This is the last week she gets to play weightless, and she happens to be playing it in the strongest form of her life. Evidence number 3, and this is the one that could break the whole thing. The variable is not the opponents. It is the surface. Look at the 2026 season, and it splits cleanly in half. On clay, she struggled, visibly. Round of 16 in Linz. Round of 32 in Stuttgart. Round of 64 in Madrid. First round exit at Roland Garros. For events, no real traction. Then the grass arrived, and she became a different athlete. Berlin semifinal. A WTA 125 title in Birmingham. 4th round at Wimbledon. The first strike tennis, the flat serve, the short points. Everything that dies on clay lives on grass. Hard court is the unknown. She has not played a competitive hard court match since March. But here is what I keep reminding people. The player you know as Alex Eala was born on a hard court. Miami 2025, ranked 140 in the world. She beat 3 Grand Slam champions in one tournament and reached the semifinals as a teenager. That week is the reason any of us are having this conversation. Hard court is not F. Or in territory for her. It is home. Now, let me give you the thing I have not seen a single channel mention. Eala is also playing doubles in Washington with Venus Williams, 46 years old, 14-time major doubles champion, their second partnership together. They practiced together this past Saturday, and the tournament posted it with a caption about inspiring multiple generations. Everybody treated it as a nice photo opportunity. It is not a photo opportunity. It is match volume. If Eala loses early in singles, she does not fly out. She stays in Washington. She keeps playing points on that exact surface, in that exact stadium, in those exact conditions before Toronto starts. And she does it standing 10 feet from one of the best court readers in the history of the sport. Nobody is calling that a training block. That is precisely what it is. So here is my read on the week, and I want to be specific rather than vague. The match that decides Alex Eala's summer is not the Fernandez match. It is Monday. It is round 1. If she gets past Zheng Qinwen, she arrives at Fernandez with momentum, with rhythm restored on hard court, against a champion carrying 500 points of anxiety. That door is open. Genuinely open. If she loses Monday, the collision course everybody has been posting about evaporates before a single person gets to argue about it. No rematch. No identity story. Nothing. That is how thin this is. One match. One afternoon. But even all of that misses the real reason this week matters, because there is a date coming in August and Alex Eala has it circled. August 24th. That is the seeding cutoff for the US Open. If Alex Eala is inside the top 32 on that date, she becomes the first Filipina in history to be seeded at Flushing Meadows. Right now, she sits at 29 on the entry list. 3 weeks. 3 tournaments. For places of cushion. And a seed is not a trophy. A seed is architecture. A seed means she cannot draw a top 16 player in the first 2 rounds. It means the road into the second week of a Grand Slam opens up in a way it has never opened for a player from Southeast Asia. Everything she does in Washington, Toronto, and Cincinnati is really just math being done toward that one line. So, back to the question at the top. What is the actual shock in this draw? It is not that Eala might meet Fernandez. It is that this bracket asked a 21-year-old to beat an Olympic gold medalist and a defending champion back-to-back, on a surface she has not touched in 4 months, during the exact 3 weeks that decide whether she makes history at the US Open. That is the shock. The Fernandez line is the headline. The rest of it is the story. And there is something happening around her that is bigger than any of it. 2 years ago, there was no WTA event in the Philippines. Not one. There is now. That is not a coincidence, and it is not a market study. It is one person. Women's tennis just opened a country of 115 million people, and it happened because a girl who left home at 12 to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy decided that good enough was not the ceiling. Kids in Manila are picking up rackets right now who would have picked up a basketball 3 years ago. That is a shift you cannot measure in ranking points, and it will outlast every result we just talked about. So here is where I land. Monday, Alex Eala walks onto a court in Washington, D.C. for the first time in her life, unseated, unprotected, with an empty backpack and an entire country awake at 4 in the morning watching. And I have no idea what happens. I have told you every reason to believe and every reason to worry, and I meant both of them. But if this thing actually gets to Fernandez, if these two do walk out on the same court, there is one question I genuinely cannot answer. Who does the Filipino crowd in that stadium cheer for? Not who should they.
Who will they?
Because those are two different questions, and I suspect the honest answer makes people uncomfortable. I am going to be here for every match of this American summer, Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, and whatever happens in New York, breaking down each one the same way we just did this. Tell me what you think Monday looks like.